China's Chang'e-4 moon mission could find alien bases and craters from secret NASA bombings very soon.
Section 51.
Section 51.
Section 51.
Hi everyone, what's up? I am GH, aka DOZgeek, back with section 51. Really happy to be with you again. And today we're gonna talk about the moon, taconauts, and music. I'm sure you've all read the latest news. And it looks like China finally celebrated Christmas on the moon. China's Chang'e-4 moon mission could find alien bases and craters from secret NASA bombings very soon. According to some theories claiming that the dark side of the moon is hiding secret military bases set up by extraterrestrials. Hang on, let's start from the beginning. Just before 10:30 a.m. Beijing local time on January the 3rd, the robotic spacecraft Chang'e-4 made a soft landing in the South Pole-Aitken Basin area of the moon, otherwise known as the far side or dark side of the moon. It is the first spacecraft in our history to attempt or achieve a landing on this unexplored area, which is never visible from Earth. After keeping the details of the mission under wraps until the last minutes, China announced the successful landing and shared the first lunar images captured by the unmanned space probe via state media. As no direct communication link exists, the images had to be bounced off another satellite before being relayed back to Earth. The moon has been the object of human fascination and also scientific observation for centuries. In reality, the moon rotates about every 27 days, which is about the same amount of time it takes to orbit the Earth once. During this whole process, we can see only about 59% of the moon's surface, while the other 41%, known as the dark side of the moon, is concealed from our view. For most of human history, people have been completely in the dark about what could be lurking on the dark side of the moon. Soon after the Soviet satellite Sputnik became the first spacecraft to orbit Earth in 1957, both the Soviet and US space programs began focusing on the next great objective, our dear star of the night, the moon. The moon. Russians initially had more success as their first two lunar probes made the first escape from Earth's gravity and the first lunar impact in 1959. That same year, Luna 3 achieved another first, taking a photographic survey of the moon's far side. Okay, it was a very poor quality. Oh, that's very poor quality. But these early images revealed that the previously unseen hemisphere had few of the smooth dark spots that we observe on the moon's surface. Scientists initially mistook these volcanic plains for lunar seas and even called them Maria, from the Latin word for sea. Since then, NASA has collected tens of thousands of images of the far side of the moon, which has allowed to make better predictions about what that distant surface might look like. But in 2016, China's growing space program announced its plans to make a historic landing on the far side of the moon. Since 2003, when the country launched its first astronaut, a taconaut, the multi-billion-dollar space program run by the Chinese military has been right on schedule with achieving the landmarks it set for itself. Yes, a taconaut, a kind of hybrid of the Chinese term Taikong, which means space, and the Greek naut, which means sailor. The term became common in 2003 when China sent its first astronaut, Yang Liwei, into space aboard the Chang'e-4 spacecraft. The origin of this term is unclear, as early as May 1998, when it became to be used in newsgroup. In late 2013, the unmanned spacecraft Chang'e-3 made a soft landing on the lunar surface, making China the third nation after USA and the former USSR to reach the moon. The rover U2, oh Sunday, bloody Sunday, yes, U2, or Jade Rabbit, which deployed from Chang'e-3 after the landing, discovered a new type of basaltic rock during its exploration of a volcanic crater in the Mare Imbrium. Liu Jizhong, Dean of China's Lunar Exploration and Aerospace Engineering Center, told to the media that the implementation of the Chang'e-4 mission has helped a lot China make the leap from following to leading in the race to the moon. Launched on December the 7th of 2018, the Chang'e-4 arrived in lunar orbit 5 days later and began lowering itself toward the moon. After its successful landing, it will explore the so-called von Karman crater within the vast South Pole-Aitken Basin. The basin itself is the largest known impact crater on the moon and one of the largest in the entire solar system. Keep that in mind. The distance from its depth to the tops of the highest surrounding peaks measures some 15 kilometers, almost twice the height of Mount Everest. In addition to taking pictures and soil samples, the space probe is also set to plant a mini garden on the moon. And according to Chinese state news agency Xinhua, it is carrying 6 live species from Earth, including cotton, potato, rapeseed, yeast, and also a flowering plant called Arabidopsis, which may produce the first flower to grow on the moon. But knowing China and the space strategy of our greatest nations, maybe it's not only carrying this simple cargo. Maybe more secret experiments or military missions are programmed on the dark side of the moon. Who knows? And when one starts to talk about the subject of hidden worlds, unexplored places, facts are beginning progressively to give way to the imagination. Craziest theories ignite passions and minds. Knowing all these elements in the history of the race to the moon, and especially strange reports from astronauts, we have to be very cautious with all that is said about the moon. Again, where is the truth? What really happened if something happened? Is there anything they are not telling us? Is the moon inhabited? The so-called dark side of the moon is considered to be one of the most mysterious places in the universe. The fact that humans cannot see the dark side of the moon essentially makes it a great place to hide something of major significance. Could it be that something is hidden there? Following the Soviet Union mission to the dark side of the moon, there have been numerous trips by humans to the enigmatic region of the natural satellite, including the famed Apollo missions to the moon by NASA. Efforts by various space agencies over the years mean that the public now has access to numerous maps detailing the composition of the landscape of the dark side of the moon, as well as a huge number of photographs of the bleak landscape. But despite of all of these images, suspicions still persist that there is something mysterious going on in the region. It could make sense that if there was an advanced alien race who wanted to study humanity, then they would make the dark side of the moon their base. It would allow them easy access to the planet without ever running the risk of being seen by sky watchers. This theory would only be an outlandish fantasy if it were not for the fact that numerous insiders have come forward in the past few decades seeming to confirm it. For example, in 1989, a former intelligence officer for the US Navy named Milton William Cooper came forward to swear under oath that the US government were aware of extraterrestrial activity on Earth and that these particular aliens had a base on the far side of the moon. Sensationally, Cooper also claimed that the base was seen and filmed by the Apollo astronauts, who also captured footage of a large mining operation and numerous spacecrafts. Hey, knowing all that, a sudden question burns my lips. Have Chinese already begun doing recon work on the dark side of the moon to uncover these supposed hidden alien structures? But let's get back to Cooper. He was killed in 2001 in suspicious circumstances when his Arizona home was raided by law enforcement agents investigating allegations of tax evasion. The official report claims that Cooper opened fire on the officers first. And in 1994, Cooper's statements appeared to be vindicated when the US Navy captured 1.8 million images of the lunar surface. Out of this huge number of images, only 170,000 were made available to the public, and the rest were given a classified status. Moreover, several testimonials from former NASA contractors stated that most of the photos presenting anomalies were systematically retouched before being released to the public. This raised more and more suspicions that the US government had indeed captured images of a secret lunar base. And what about the strange alien music coming from outer space heard by Apollo 10 astronauts when they orbited the moon in 1969? Did you hear about that? Apollo 10, launched in May of 1969, paved the way for Apollo 11, launched in July of that same year, to put 2 humans on the lunar surface. The Apollo 10 astronauts flew to the moon in a command module, and 2 of the crew members also took a ride in the lunar module, dropping down to less than 10 miles above the moon's surface. This strange music, a whistling, occurred while the astronauts were on the far side of the moon, where they lost radio and visual contact with mission control for about an hour, as it was expected. NASA put transcripts of the Apollo 10 transmissions online in 2008. Also, the documents themselves say they would have been declassified in 1982. The astronauts sound genuinely awed and puzzled by what they heard, and bring it up multiple times. But at no point in the audio or the transcripts does the incident seem to raise an alarm with them. In the audio recordings from the Apollo 10 mission, which you can now easily find on the internet, astronaut Gene Cernan, who was piloting the lunar module, asks John Young, who was piloting the command module, if he hears that whistling sound.
Do you hear that whistling sound?
It is Cernan who calls it music and says it even sounds outer spacey.
It even sounds outer spacey.
Later, the 2 men ask Tom Stafford, who is in the lunar module with Cernan, if he hears it too. They agree that it's really weird, and Young says,
"We're going to have to find out about that. Nobody will believe us."
Opinions remain divided on the origin of this particular phenomenon. While it appears to be some interference between the VHF radios on the 2 different vehicles for some people and NASA, on the other hand, others like Apollo 15 astronaut Al Worden still believe that if there was something recorded on there, then there was something there. It will remain a complete mystery for the moment. While the reports about extraterrestrial activity on the moon seem to be confirmed by multiple testimonies, some people are still deeply suspicious about what is going on there. While NASA has made some proposals in recent years about a further exploratory mission to the lunar surface, these plans have come to nothing. In fact, there have not been any visits to the moon by any space agency since the 1970s, when the Apollo missions were abruptly brought to a halt without any apparent reason. If there is unusual activity on the far side of the moon, then the space agencies of the world, which are run by governmental forces, have a monopoly on that information at this current time. However, with the expansion of private companies and new countries into the space travel business, it is only a matter of time before this monopoly is eroded. Who knows what information will be uncovered about the enigmatic dark side of the moon shortly. We'll be back really soon. Open your eyes, watch the sky, live long and prosper.